This is Sarah Bassil, Director of Communications for In Defense of Christians. Sarah, welcome back. So good to be with you again. We just heard about the issues facing Lebanon. Can you talk to us about what daily life is like for the people living there right now?
Well, I want to first say thank you for having me on the show, Tracy. As Colin mentioned, the past several months, the Lebanese lira has really hit several record lows in its values. It's been disastrous for the economy, mostly noticeably by the fuel, food, and medicine shortages. I'm sure your viewers remember the fuel shortage on the East Coast a few months ago and how Colonial Pipeline was essentially held hostage for a couple of days. Well, in Lebanon, that very same crisis has been happening for more than a year, and the Lebanese government is the one holding people hostage. To give you a little bit of a comparison on what's happening, I want you to consider the average price of bread in Lebanon, in the United States, which is about $2.50. Now, imagine if that price went up to $11 in a single year, and you don't even have gas to drive to the supermarket. The level of inflation that the country is facing is on every product on the market, from essentials to car parts. I was in Beirut a couple weeks ago, and I have no idea how people are making ends meet, and it's a disastrous situation.
It's so hard to imagine over here. Thank you for putting that really in perspective for us. I also know that your group, In Defense of Christians, you all held your own prayer for Lebanon today. Tell us more about that and the importance of it, and also who took part.
Right. So the importance of the prayer is it's an ecumenical prayer of several different leaders, including Bishop Zaidan of the Maronite Catholic Eparchy of Our Lady of Los Angeles, Archbishop Talanian, who is the prelate of the Eastern Prelacy of the Armenian Apostolic Church, and a representative of Bishop John Tullock, who is the leader of the Syriac Orthodox Archdiocese of the Eastern United States. All of these church leaders have been very important in the efforts that we have in the church to pray, of course, but also to work with IDC on our initiatives on Lebanon. And so coming together and praying for our beloved Lebanon is very important, and it was a good effort to us to get together and promote that message of unity across the diaspora, essentially.
Yeah, and Sarah, can you talk about the other ways IDC is helping the people in Lebanon? And for those who are watching right now and would like to help, what can they do?
Sure. So first and foremost, the most important aspect of IDC's advocacy is supporting the Lebanese Armed Forces, or the LAF. Arguably, the LAF is one of the only functioning institutions in Lebanon, and it's the main peacekeeping force in the country. So if aid to the LAF is cut off, you basically hand over Lebanon to the Iran-sponsored organization of Hezbollah, and that's a terrorist organization that has plagued the country for decades now. And unfortunately, that's exactly what Representative Lee Zeldin of New York and Representative Elaine Luria of Virginia are trying to do by the introduction of two bills introduced to the House of Representatives recently. So supporting the LAF is really essential and crucial to the mission of IDC. On a more positive note, we continue to work with both chambers of Congress and the administration on direct aid to NGOs in Lebanon, and not through the government, of course, in efforts to alleviate the burden of the economic crisis. I encourage your viewers to head over to idcindefenseofchristians.org and take a look at our action items, which you can ask your members of Congress to support legislation that supports the LAF, the Lebanese Armed Forces, a number of NGOs, and our efforts altogether to promote stability in the region.
So we have about a minute left, not a whole lot of time, but I'm wondering, are there any signs the situation will improve over there, either politically or economically?
Well, if you look at the concept of Pope Francis bringing the leaders together, you can't understate the power of prayer to begin with, and so that was important. But the ecumenical effort to advocate for Lebanon is a very much needed start, and you can only go from there. So the situation can get very bad very quickly, but we hope that the efforts that the international community is playing right now does change that situation. You have Secretary of State Blinken talking about this. You have several leaders in the UN pressuring France. A bunch of groups internationally pressuring the Lebanese government. And so Pope Francis's initiative on this is very much needed, and it's a good first step. Hope is a very powerful thing, but we want to see action behind these prayers.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it. Thank you for what you do. Sarah Bassil, Director of Communications for In Defense of Christians. Good to be with you.
Thank you so much.